Well, due to popular demand and majority vote, I've decided to go ahead and purchase the Green Ghost. Now you're probably wondering why I'm calling it the Green Ghost. I'll explain that later. But for right now, we got to get this thing loaded up on the tow dolly and get the driveline unhooked before we tow it back to the shop. Of course, we got to kick the tires, you know. It wouldn't be a good sale unless you went and kicked the tires, right? Let's go ahead and kick this back tire. You know, we gotta be tire kickers here. Okay, we got good tires. We're gonna buy this baby. You know, on Facebook, I threw out the question there, what are the 3 most important criteria I should consider if I'm thinking about fixing this car? And for me, number 1 is rust. If this car has any evidence of structural or body rust or frame rust, then I'm going to pass. But this one is really clean. In fact, this is one of the most clean 116s I've seen as far as rust. There's no rust in the rockers, and there's no rust in the inner fender panels, even in this back fender here, which is real typical of rusting because of leaks in the trunk, is showing no signs of rust. So far from what I can see, this W116 passes the rust test just fine. I'm going to have to take it home and get it up on the lift to really check it over. But I'm going to take a quick look now at the structural damage. There is some body damage here on this right rear fender. And it's not too bad. You know, at first it looks kind of crumpled, but this is a fairly easy pull out. All the lines back in this area are still straight. So it's basically just working it right in this area. We'll do this body repair without having to change the rear fender if we decide to repair it. But moving up to the front, things are not looking too bad. If you look closely here, the damage went above the bumper and above this frame rail. Now, if this frame rail were bent, I'd probably pass. But almost all of the damage is on the fender and the inner fender panel. And I've also done a check with the alignment of the front tire, measuring this distance from here to here on both sides, and it's the same. If the front tire were hit and the front suspension were bent, I would also pass. But so far, the damage looks reasonably repairable should the next thing pass muster, and that's the engine. I'm going to do a valve adjustment and a compression test before I do anything else, and then we'll get the engine running good enough so we can take this out and drive it for a while before I make the final decision. Unless you're just going a short distance, it's best to unhook the drive shaft when using a tow dolly with the rear wheels on the road. So we're under the car now. We're going to disconnect the front of that drive shaft, tie it out of the way, and we'll be heading out of here soon. The chrome trim on this SD is in remarkably good shape considering the car's been sitting outside for a number of years. But this is another little thing you want to check out. All these things kind of add up in your decision as to whether or not you want to fix it or part it out. But even the rear bumper is in beautiful condition. Just look at how close this accident came to bending that front frame rail. We're talking about maybe an inch or two lower, and it would have hit this frame member here and probably buckled that crumple zone back in behind the headlight. So I'm really happy about that. If that would have happened, I would be passing on this repair. The grill shell is in amazing condition. Look at that. Even the chrome strip are not dinged. Looking at this hood a little more closely, I can see it's had body work done on it in the past. Look at the amount of Bondo and that big crack in the body filler that's occurred. So this hood probably is going to need to be replaced, but that's great because I have a really nice hood back at the shop. The deck lid's got a few scratches in it, but once again, there is no damage to these. It's easy to bend these up because they are aluminum, but this deck lid is also going to buff out real well too. I've always loved the W116 chassis, and the 300SD is one of my all-time favorite. I just love the ride and the road feel of these cars. Oh, back to the shop safe and sound. You know, this car looks a little bit better the more I look at it, particularly this left side. When I get up front here and sight down the side, I don't even see any door dings. Literally, that's amazing on a car that's this old. So most of the paint on this car is in excellent condition except for the damaged area and the hood, and the roof's also in very good condition, and I believe it'll buff out just fine. Here we go again on another rescue attempt. Can you believe it? There's always another one to save. Should we save this one? It's going to come down to those three key factors: rust, structural damage, and the condition of the engine and transmission. So we'll get this thing up on the lift, and we're going to find out if it will pass those three tests before we make the final decision whether or not to repair it or part it out.